You've probably seen it 1,000 times. That warm, golden glow inside a crystal glass, smelling of smoke and ancient oak. But have you ever wondered why one of the world's strongest spirits was once called something far more sacred? Why is it called whiskey when its original name once meant water of life? It's been poured in royal halls and raised in celebratory toasts for centuries, yet few people know the medieval mystery hidden behind that amber light. Today, we're diving into the surprising story of how a phrase about life itself became the soul of the glass in your hand.
Hey friends, I'm Edward. Let's pour ourselves a story, right here on QCProjectsimplethings.
At its simplest, whiskey is a distilled spirit born from a humble blend of grains: barley, rye, corn, or wheat. Each grain acts like a unique fingerprint, leaving its own mark on the flavor. Bourbon, for instance, must be made from at least 51% corn, giving it that familiar sweetness and a smooth, buttery body that coats the tongue. Rye whiskey, true to its name, leans heavily on rye. Spicy, bold, and a little fiery. Unlike a clear, neutral spirit like vodka, whiskey finds its soul in the cool hills and oak barrels. Scotch, born in Scotland, usually begins with malted barley, providing a rich, roasted depth. After distillation, every drop rests in oak barrels where time and wood perform their quiet magic, transforming a clear liquid into amber gold and infusing it with notes of smoky caramel and lingering warmth. While the bottle might say 40 to 45% alcohol, what you're really tasting is something far more human, a craft, a patience, and a sacred history. To the world, it's a symbol of ritual, but to those who first named it, it was simply the water of life. It didn't start in a factory. It began in the quiet, stone-walled monasteries of medieval Ireland and Scotland. Back then, distillation was more than just a craft. It felt like a small miracle. Imagine the monks, working by candlelight, taking simple grain and water and slowly coaxing out a clear, potent spirit. At first, it was a medicinal remedy, at times a ceremonial gift, and always a comfort on the coldest of nights. No wonder they called it Uisce Beatha, Gaelic for the water of life. Over time, as the word travelled, its sound began to shift. In the mouths of English scribes, the breathy music of Gaelic transformed into Usquebar. From there, everyday speech shaved the word down further to Usky, and finally to the whiskey we know today. Same soul, just a simpler shape. While some fringe theories try to link the name to the liquid left after making cheese, the heart of the name still beats in that ancient Gaelic belief. Across Europe, you'll hear this same idea wearing different clothes. Latin has its aqua vitae, the French their eau de vie, and Scandinavians their aquavit. Different languages, but one shared conviction: that distillation pulls something vital from ordinary things. When you lift a glass today, you're literally tasting the alchemy of the ancient monks, the belief that chemistry could capture the very essence of life. Every great spirit carries a story of pride. For whiskey, that pride runs deep, divided by the sea, but bound by the same flame. Back then, both Ireland and Scotland claimed to be its true birthplace, and, truth be told, both have a story worth raising a glass to. Ireland's claim goes back nearly 9 centuries. Imagine English soldiers in 1170 returning from the Emerald Isle, writing in awe of a fiery drink called Uisce Beatha. It burned, it healed, and it warmed the soul. To Irish historians, this was the first true whiskey ever made. But across the misty sea, Scotland tells its own tale. In 1494, the King's records show a monk named John Core was granted 8 bowls of malt to make aqua vitae. To the Scots, that single line of ink is holy proof. Their land distilled the spirit first. Over time, as legends faded into history, the word itself began to take its modern shape. You'll find the word whisky first appearing in print around 1753 in The Gentleman's Magazine, describing a sale in Dublin. But before that, older spellings wandered across time like the spirit itself. Whisky in 1715, whisky by 1746, each a little different, but all pointing toward the same liquid born from grain and faith. In those days, the word was used loosely, sometimes for herbal tonics, sometimes for drinks made from honey or dried fruit. It was less a recipe and more of a feeling. It wasn't until grain became the absolute heart of distilling that whisky found its true definition. When you hold a glass today, you're not just tasting a drink, you're tasting a centuries-old debate of pride, etched in ink and perfected by time. If you strip whisky down to its absolute essence, only 3 elements remain: grain, yeast, and water. The grain gives it body, the yeast brings it to life, but it's the water that ties it all together. Pure water does more than just sit in the mash. It cools the stills, dissolves the sugars, and carries every delicate flavour. In the Highlands of Scotland, distilleries guard their water sources like sacred ground. From the granite-filtered rivers of Speyside that add a gentle sweetness, to the peat-stained waters of Islay that taste like the sea and fire combined, water is the silent pulse of the land. But the true transformation happens when the clear spirit meets its destiny, the wood. Imagine the inside of an oak barrel, charred by open flames until its surface is cracked and blackened. When the whisky enters, it begins to breathe. As the seasons change, the liquid is pushed deep into the wood's pores and pulled back out like a slow, rhythmic heartbeat. This is where the burn of the alcohol is tamed. The charred wood acts as a filter, stripping away harsh impurities while gifting the spirit its amber soul, its notes of creamy vanilla, toasted caramel, and lingering smoke. Without the wood, it is just a spirit. Without the water, it is just a burn. To the ancient monks, calling it water of life wasn't just poetry, it was a literal scientific truth. It is a marriage of elements where nature's raw power is refined into liquid gold. When you take a sip today, you're not just tasting a recipe, you're tasting the patience of the forest and the memory of the fire. Many people think that whisky is just a single, uniform spirit, a one-size-fits-all drink for the bold. They see the amber liquid and assume the experience is always the same: a burn, a kick, and a woody finish. But here's the truth. Whisky is actually a mirror of the cultures that shaped it. It's the same water of life, but with 4 very different souls. You might think it's all about the alcohol, but look closer at Scotch. Born from stone and sea, it reflects a philosophy of endurance. It's smoke-kissed and complex, a drink for those who believe time itself is an ingredient. Then look at Irish whisky. Unlike its smokier cousin, it's triple distilled for warmth and joy. It's lighter, friendlier, carrying the spirit of laughter and storytelling. While some seek power, Canadian whisky tells a story of balance. Soft, gentle, and touched with honey, it reflects wide rivers and calm hearts. And then there is Japanese whisky, a meditation in a glass. It pursues wa, harmony, balancing east and west with poetic precision. It's more of a myth that whisky is just a recipe. The truth is, it's a global philosophy. Every culture lets the water of life flow differently, but they all remind you of the same thing: to slow down, to taste, and to truly feel alive.
In a world that never stops moving, whiskey is a reminder to stop.
It isn't a drink for the hurried or the restless. It's a spirit that has spent years, sometimes decades, in the dark, waiting for the perfect moment to meet your glass. When you take a sip, you're not just tasting a recipe, you're tasting a witness to history. The oak that tames the fire once stood as a tree for a century. The water that carries the flavour once flowed through ancient mountains. To drink whiskey is to respect the slow, deliberate pace of nature. It teaches us that some of the best things in life cannot be rushed. They must be forged in flame, aged in silence, and savoured with presence. So, the next time you hold a glass of the water of life, don't just drink. Listen, feel the warmth, because in that amber glow there is a 300-year-old promise that even in the darkest wood and the fiercest fire, something beautiful is being born. You aren't just sipping a spirit, you're tasting the art of patience. Today, you'll find whiskey in every corner of our modern world, far beyond the dusty cellars of history. From the dimly lit jazz clubs where it's sipped neat to celebrate a long-awaited success, to the bustling city bars where it's shaken into a vibrant sour or a classic old-fashioned. You'll even find it in the quiet comfort of a home kitchen, adding a rich, smoky depth to a gourmet sauce or a decadent chocolate dessert. Whether it's a collector's shelf displaying a rare Japanese single malt like a piece of fine art, or a simple bottle of Irish whiskey shared between friends at a weekend campfire, each version keeps a trace of its origin story. You are no longer just a drinker. You are a witness to the water of life in its modern form. Every time you choose a glass, you're choosing how to connect with 300 years of patience, one sip at a time. I want to give you the 10-second rule. This isn't about waiting to drink. It's a 10-second ritual that turns you from a casual drinker into a connoisseur who knows exactly what's in the glass. Next time you hold a glass of whiskey, spend those 10 seconds on 3 expert checks. First, look at the legs. Swirl the glass and wait. If the tears, or legs, crawl down slowly and thick, it's a sign of high alcohol and rich oils, the body of a well-aged spirit. If they vanish instantly, it's likely thin and young. Second, check the depth. A true whiskey shouldn't just be brown. It should have a golden or copper glow that stays clear. If it looks dull or murky, the soul of the grain might be compromised. Finally, feel the bloom. Don't bury your nose inside the glass. Hold it just below your chin for 5 seconds. Let the alcohol vapors disperse so the hidden notes of vanilla, dried fruit, or campfire smoke can finally speak to you. In just 10 seconds, you're not just drinking, you're applying 300 years of history to ensure what you taste is real. Use these 10 seconds to demand excellence from your glass and your life. Stay curious about the simple things. The next time you hold a glass of amber light, remember, it isn't just a spirit, it's 300 years of fire, patience, and the water of life waiting to tell you its story. If this journey through grain and oak gave you a new perspective, please subscribe and hit the bell to join our next investigation. I'm curious to know, is a smoky, bold Scotch your ultimate comfort, or do you prefer the smooth, triple-distilled joy of an Irish whiskey? Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us what simple thing you'd like us to decode next.
Keep looking closer. This is QC Project Simple Things. Thank you for watching.